Welcome, everybody. Okay, so we are live. Welcome. And this is our Elevate community gathering for July the 3rd. And my God, the energies are intense, very intense the last several days. In fact, I was typing a message in the group community and I had to admit that I was on a vortex of literal rebirth, and I'm still feeling like I'm getting grounded. It was, for me, started on Friday. So I don't know where you were and what the energies have been like for you, but my goodness. Yeah, we've been on a bit of a roller coaster ride. So what took place over the weekend? We left the energies of June and we literally just catapulted ourselves in Canada here, at least through a long weekend, into the energy of July. And it has been a bit of a whirlwind. So have you been feeling a little bit off or a little bit maybe fried by the energies taking place right now? Your situations, anything confronting you? I know in our community, a few people have shared that, yeah, life has kind of grabbed them in a way. Hey, Tammy, welcome, sister. Yeah. Can you relate to that? Feel free to share, type in the chat. And I will be reading the comments as they come. And excuse me if I sound a little disheveled. So, part of what I'm experiencing, and I mentioned this in the community, is when the energies get this, I say hot, I really feel it in my sinuses. And so for me, it started yesterday. And what I end up experiencing is sometimes, not always, but today is one of those days where it's like a borderline migraine. This is very low grade, I'll say, but it's just enough of this sinus inflammation that is caused by, it's energy charged prana. So it's literally in the atmosphere. It's in the very fabric of our reality. It's just everywhere. And so when it's that charged, it enters into the sinus cavity. And for many of us, particularly women, I notice, and it irritates and dries because it's high electric light and energy. It dries things that it comes into contact with. And the tissues in this area are extremely sensitive. And so for me, I'm like, when I have one of these kind of headaches, I feel a little bit, just like a little bit loopy. So if you hear me having a tough time carrying on the conversation, that's why. But I really wanted to have this conversation because I know I'm not alone. Maybe in having a headache, it's a little bit more personal, but the way we've been experiencing the energies and what's been coming up is universal. So first and foremost, welcome. We made it into July and we are on a bit of a rebirthing, like collectively. So many new beginnings, so many endings, and like feelings of excitement and thrill and bliss and like, oh my God, and clarity as we move in and receive a lot of these new kind of like downloads of like what's next or what's just possible. That alone can get you that excited. But then what's really interesting, and that's why I named this the highs and lows of expansion, is because coming out of one of these explosive bursts into more of who we are and who we could be, as that all starts to settle in and we start to integrate it, what often happens is that's when seeds of doubt start to erupt. That's when we start to feel detached from the original way of being of our previous or former selves or that former life. And it can be a little unnerving as the, let's say, the connected version of us, this higher self expression of us that's receiving this information on like, hey, you could be doing this. Imagine what life would be like if you were da da da. If you moved, if you changed careers, if you simply showed up in this different way. And so that's exciting, right? Can anybody relate to this? Yeah. That is the part that's invigorating. And then once we start to acclimatize to that, technically that new frequency of who we could be, that starts to become who we are. And then when we're in that frequency for an extended period of time, it means that we've stepped away for a long enough period of time from that previous or former version, that former literal life, that then you start to feel unsettled because where you now are at this new place or new way of being feels a little foreign. It feels comfortable, but you can notice the dissonance or the separation between your now new rebirth self. Hey, Sister Rita, welcome. And this former self. And because it happens so fast, and it can literally be a matter of days when you suddenly feel like a completely different person, or the potentials are so real and so palpable and possible that being in this middle place where you perhaps haven't taken all of the steps forward yet, and yet you clearly know that going without this new vision starting to come into reality, not allowing that to come forward is just not an option. So it's like this really interesting limbo. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah. Can you relate to what I'm talking about? So that's literally what we've been playing with. So extreme highs, right? Because it's just like, oh, the potential, the possibility, and the energy's there to support it. But then also because we haven't yet taken those steps and it hasn't really fully manifested, let's say, Rita's like, yep. It's like, oh my God, am I really going to jump off that cliff? Am I really going to jump off the diving board? Did I just say that? Are we doing this? Let me see. I'm going to see what Tammy says here. Tammy says, you're articulating this very well. Thank you, Tammy. I'll take that as yes, you can relate to it. I see. I'm just like not all together. That's just going to be the day today. It's just going to be the day. And you know what? It's perfect because we're just going to show up. And that's what we're being invited to do is you don't have to have everything together. You don't have to be completely ready. It's about just being ready enough to push yourself beyond the comfort zone that you were before this expansion, this particular period, right, of expansion, whatever that is for you, and just be ready enough to stabilize there. Does that make sense? Hey, Joey, wonderful to see you. Oh, thank you. I'm glad it's resonating. Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, isn't it an interesting place? Like, who here has felt this, interesting time we're in, who's experiencing stuff, but it definitely feels a little different than some of the other ones. Do you guys feel that? Do you guys feel that? Like I'm noticing every one of these expansion moments is definitely different, right? But we have definitely entered, and it seems it is very clear that this transition between June and July, which is what we just went through now, is another separate chunk. It's another launching pad, and it's really going to be this potent bridge into the Lion's Gate, which is coming on 8/8, so August the 8th. Which brings me to one more thing I do want to mention, which is we are going to be doing an abundance activation challenge. And so this is going to be something we're doing in community, and it's all about, actually, I put down a note. I want to make sure I don't miss a couple of things. So there will daily practice, but we're going to do this in community. And it's all designed to open the pathway to abundance in preparation for the Lion's Gate on August 8th, where we'll each reach another pivotal liftoff point. And this will bring more clarity, purpose, and creation ability. So this August, this July are going to be unlike anything we have ever experienced before. We're literally cracking open, like right down to the core of new potentials and creative ability. And it's a real training ground for us as humans stepping into this new way of being. But it's like we're in boot camp because this is how we are going to be creating moving forward. It's no longer just this passive, let life kind of show you what it's got. No, we're going to be participating in this way of being. And so it came very clear over the last week. It was like, okay, we're going to do a challenge, and it's going to be a fun challenge, but it's going to be something that's focused around abundance and not necessarily in ways that I've done some of this with students and mentees and others that we have walked together. We've done this kind of work, some of it, but not in this way before. So this was kind of a new twist on some of the things you may have heard me talk about before, but this is going to be something really fun. So I'm highly encouraging you to stay tuned. I'm going to be releasing a little more information about this in the days ahead. We're going to do it. When are we starting it here? Actually, more details. I'll share that after, because I don't want to take up too much of our call to talk about it. I just wanted to plant the seed. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be an abundance activation challenge. We're going to do it in community, and it's really all going to be to prepare us energetically for what is coming in August. And just this whole experience of it itself is going to be very activating and very transformative. So if you'd like to participate in that with us, it's wild. As soon as you take those first steps, it's just wild to watch what starts to unfold virtually immediately. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. All right, so I am going to take a quick look here. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Fun, amazing. Okay, yeah, I think we're gonna have a good time. I'm looking forward to it. All right, now the next piece is I wanted to just share a little bit about what's actually been taking place. So on Sunday, that was technically the last day of June. And so the energy that you may have been noticing, tell me if this resonates with you guys, but kind of like final test. It's like the final exam. You're in school, and it's like, well, when does school end for most of us here in the West, right? It's the end of June. And so it was very literally like that for us this June, but on a collective scale. So what we've been going through is kind of like a final test, a final exam. Like, okay, you're ready to take your life up to the next level? You ready? Okay, how about this for a possibility? Who was faced or presented with interesting possibilities over the last week? Anybody? Any kind of new potential or new possibility that was kind of presenting itself to you, something that might have excited you, that you may have thought about before, but never really had it this tangibly show up? I'm going to give you a minute to type in case there is somebody that wants to share, but that was a big theme. And I've known several people I've spoken to have had this happen. And what this has probably presented as well, let me know if this resonates, is just the idea of could that really happen? Could I really do that? Joey says, let me see. I have very different than ever before. Very cool. Joey, what was so different about it, in your opinion? What did you find made this one feel different than times past? And anybody else had anything that has come up for you? I'm very curious. I'm very curious. I know for us, we had oh my gosh. If you're in the community, you already saw my post, but one of the things that was like a complete game changer, like opening up potentials, like I couldn't imagine really until we actually took the first step. And for us, what it was we on Friday, which was, yeah, just a couple of days before that, we picked up a motorhome. This is something that my partner and I have been talking about for like 3-4 years, maybe longer, but at least, yeah, since we met. So let's say 6 years. And we end up picking it up. The deal was done, no surprise, right on the solstice. It turned out that that was the day we kind of shook the hands and said, okay, we're going to do it. Thank you. It was a private sale. And then on Friday was the day we picked it up, which just so happened was our 6-year anniversary. 6 year in a 6-month There's a lot of interesting sixes around this. And we picked this thing up, and what we thought we were going to do, which to some might have been the more responsible thing to do, was we were going to pick it up, maybe take it home and get familiar with it, because it had been winterized. So it's not the kind of thing you could just like have running water or have like the washroom functioning. So if you don't know what a motorhome is, a motorhome is it's like a camper, but it's built in, it has a truck built into it. So it's not like a trailer that you pull behind. It's a full vehicle. And so this thing had been winterized, beautiful condition, low mileage. Everything about this thing was just absolutely divinely orchestrated for us. And so we were excited. And so we go and we pick this thing up. And as we're like on the way there, it finally starts to sink in like, oh my God, this is really happening. We're really doing this. And the reason it was a big deal is because of the potentials that it opens up for us, as I was mentioning before. And what it means is, you know, travel, which is something we haven't done a lot of, and travel with our beloved Theo, who's sleeping over there. You can probably see him, because that's something that's a lot easier to do than flying, you know, with a pet. And so all of these different things suddenly start to open up, but you don't really feel the reality of it until you start to take that first step. So for us, the first step was like saying yes. Then the next step was Friday, picking it up. And then the next step was like, okay, now what do we do? And I had immediately, it's like, okay, we're not just going to pick up this RV. We are going to drive it to Quebec. And so my partner was like, what? We don't even know what we're doing with it. I'm like, I know. And we're going. Let's go. And so we went, and it was like going into a vortex. It was like, I can't even describe it. It just felt like we left the country, not just the province. And it felt like we opened the door to Narnia. The ideas started flooding through. The creativity, the possibilities. We even looked at land. I was like, oh my God. And the whole ride there was beautiful, spectacular, so much beauty. And so it was a very uplifting experience, very expanding in terms of what we believe was possible for us. And then also just now, this it's a vehicle, but it feels like it has its own consciousness. That's a whole other conversation. But it really is opening the door to so much because of where we can travel to, but also where we can do our work from, where we and who we get to travel and be with. So it's this whole new world. And because you can actually live out of it, it just opens up all kinds of different things. So super fun. But then as we started exploring different possibilities, and looking at land or property was one of the things that just landed on our lap. It was like, okay, it's almost like you have to pull back because it almost feels like too much, and then sit and ground into that and then revisit. So it's been a very interesting journey. Let's see what you guys have to say. So Joey says, yeah, previous things that used to be very out of reach seem extremely possible now. Yeah, it's very new. The energy is fun and full of possibilities. That sums it up perfectly, Joey. Beautiful. Yeah, and it's so, so real. I love how you say that, that used to be or seem very much out of reach, seem very, very possible now. And that's what it is. There's like this, thank you for sharing that, Joey. Thank you so much. There's like a renewed or an up-leveled sense of confidence and a knowingness. And that's what's really coming online now for us more and more, is this knowing that all these things are possible. And as much as I was sharing, you know, like this idea of like needing to step back and kind of ground into things, the reason is that being expanded and in touch with and connected to the potentials that are available to us is something that we do when we are connected and really streaming in the essence of our higher self. And when we're in that place, of course, the potentials are all available. And it's only when we step out of that, which isn't wrong or bad, it's an ebb and flow. But when we step out of that, that is when the lower mind, the ego mind, steps in and starts to place doubt, right? Starts to question. Now, it's not to say that there isn't some aspect of perhaps course correction that comes into play, but more often than not, it is this dance that we're doing with the still active ego mind that is now trying to poke holes in this beautiful vision, this idea, this thing that we were just playing with and feeling extremely aligned with only moments ago. So that's where this interesting dance starts happening. And that's what was taking place over the weekend, right? So there was this ramping up of energy on like Friday and then Saturday and leading up into this conclusion, which was on Sunday, which is when a lot of this stuff kind of came to a head. And then you're like teetering on the edge. And then we literally stepped into July the next day on the Monday. And that's where, did anybody feel like there was like a void almost on Monday? Kind of. It's like this limbo place, like, oh my God, I just jumped off the ledge, but I haven't really landed on the ground yet. Where am I? And it's like this no man's land or no gravity land. Let's see. Tammy's saying, yeah, Joey says yes. Okay. And Tammy said, I feel like I'm not looping anymore on the same timeline and linearity, which is really helping new potentials. It's a bit mind blowing. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Tammy. That's a great, great example of one of these things that is now, it's like a new level of integration that we've reached. And the energy's been so supportive in us being able to maintain this like loop free periods of time. And then when the ego does raise its hand to offer a suggestion or a perspective, we are able to be more aware of it. Now, if that's not your experience exactly, don't worry. We're all having different versions of this experience play out for us. And sometimes there is moments of, a lot of ease around this. And sometimes there is very much an intentional dip where we just fall right off the wagon. So just know whatever your experience is like, it's perfect and very, very much supportive of whatever it is you're experiencing when where your journey is headed. But it's been a pretty wild ride. Okay, let's see here. What else I'm going to share? Okay, where are we time-wise? All right, so we got a few more minutes. Anything else you guys would like to share? Like, we are definitely at a turning point, 100%. And in fact, on Tuesday, which was yesterday, Neptune went retrograde, which anytime a planet goes retrograde, it's just the themes around that particular celestial body are just amplified. As it slows down, it's just like everything has more of an opportunity to bathe us in that particular frequency. So that was a collective theme around, usually it's around disillusion and undoing things and the search towards the underlying truth of a matter. And so for me, how this showed up for me was me being really aware of the potentials that are available, noticing where my mind was trying to poke holes in it, and then being willing to simply say, I'm not going there. Not going there. I'm choosing to let go of that disillusion, that idea that I shouldn't be looking in this direction, that there is something to doubt or worry, and instead ignore that. Thank you so much for that, ego. But instead, simply look straight ahead at the vision that is aligned and allow that to come forward. So for me, it was dissolving the ego illusion. And it was very, very present, like the clarity around it showing up and what it was trying to do. Just like, no, we're not going there. Thank you. And it was very clear the day that it showed up. It was a very big shift in that energy. So that's what it was like for me. What did you guys notice? Rita's saying here, let's see. Yep, things that just came to light effortlessly, of easeful abundance in so many forms of beingness, and things just presenting in my awareness and falling away really lovingly. Beautiful, beautiful. Yay. Congratulations. That is a really fun way to have things unfold. And I'm not surprised. Yeah, beautiful, Rita. Let's see. And Rita says, the void. Yes. It was so interesting, eh? I really love the void. I do. I really, really appreciate those moments when it feels like we have separated from the rest of the collective and we are having very literally like these individual experiences. But I like to liken it to like completely overcast days where there's no shadow and you can't really tell what time it is because the sun isn't there to illuminate different things and cast its shadow. So that's what these voids feel like for me. Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Rita. And Rita said, the knowing is off the charts amplified. Yeah, we are stepping into more of that. I love it. Yay. Thank you for sharing. And Joey says, the knowing is extremely sturdy. Oh, lovely. You both on the same theme. The knowing is extremely sturdy in a completely new way. Yeah, right? This is the part that's so exciting. It really is. And this is what we're being initiated into, is our own knowing of all the things that are possible. So when you're faced with a new potential that resonates deeply, and you know it's resonating deeply because you can tell the difference. And if you can't yet, I would encourage you to sit with it, to tell the difference between just ego excitement or this real feeling of alignment and the knowing of what's possible and being aligned with whatever that new potential is that's showing up for you. And going, you know what? I could do this. This could be a thing. I could see this happening. That's that feeling. It's very different than just like the, oh, wow, that would be amazing. And oh my God, can you imagine? That's a different energy completely. But that knowingness is coming in these ways. And so if you, let's say you're in that place of feeling that knowing, it's much more calm, right? That's one of the ways you can tell. It's a calmer feeling. It's like a powerful coming from below and within, let's say from the belly and up, as opposed to from the head down, which is going to be more what the ego will do. And so when you're in that place, stay with it. Stay with it. And you'll notice that I haven't given a lot of details around the things that came up for me besides the RV, right? And the reason is because it's still percolating. So allow yourself, and it's an important part of the creation process, allow yourself when these new potentials come up and they feel really resonant, don't feel like you have to say something, that you have to announce it, because you are still attuning to it. So you wait until you're fully attuned and then you can start to give more details, unless you are in the company, of course, of those who can hold the right container and are able to just allow you to share without there being any kind of projections or doubts and all this stuff thrown at it. It's part of the creation process, and it's like this delicate little place where the pieces are still coming into play. And there's two sides to it. Pieces are still coming into alignment. So it's like you almost don't need or don't want to speak them yet because they're still mobilizing. Allow them to be what they're going to be before we start to anchor them in with language and speech. But then there's also the piece of others, right? Participating in the creation through witnessing and etc. So anyways, for me, it's like the pieces are still coming together. So let's just let them be. And I'll keep working with them. And then once they're like dropping in, then there'll be more to share. So I just offer that to you if you're going through something like that. allow them to be and enjoy them. So, like, attune to them internally and really feel into them and have fun with them. So, this is what we're moving into, guys. Where are we here? I did it again. 1 minute. But this is the energy that we're playing with. This is coming out of that powerful weekend, coming out of that powerful surge. We also had a Schumann blast yesterday. That's what set my sinuses on fire, so to speak. And we're going to be now, we're literally moving into the July 7/7 energy now. So we'll start to feel that today, probably a little bit yesterday, but today and tomorrow it's coming. And so powerful, powerful energies ahead. Another portal coming as those numbers, those numerologic, I'll just say numerology, lines up for us with these dates of the 7/7, and then there'll be more. So just hold on to your hats, know that you're in the right place, and that things are going perfectly according to plan. We have so much fun ahead of us in this year ahead. We're only halfway through. It's hard to imagine, but yeah. But we are in boot camp, we are in training. And so, again, just another reminder that this abundance activation challenge that we're going to do as a community, if you'd like to join us, comment here in the comments, message me directly, and more information I'm going to share in the next couple of days. But we'd love to have you with us, because the more of us doing this together, we're going to create a lot of energetic momentum, and it's going to be super fun and really magical to watch it all come together and start to express through you. So Joey says, thanks for being, thank you for being here. Thank you for your teachings as well, as you share and as you be, Joey. Appreciate you. Sister Rita, thank you. Rainbow Rita. All right, guys, love you so much. I look forward to next week, and stay tuned for more information on this abundance activation challenge. Thanks for being here with the Elev8 community, and I'm sending you so much love. Bye for now, guys.